Look at this handsome doe. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. Yeah. He's got his mohawk on. He's excited. So these plastic tubs are already filled with plants that I take to the plant sales. So what I'm doing now is just going through and checking out each of the plants, and if they feel a little dry, like this one's pretty dry, I'm sticking them over in this tub of water so that they can bottom water. As you can see, the plants are already growing up out of these second size pots. So these were repotted, let's see, less than 2 weeks ago. So it'll be 2 weeks tomorrow. And it's just crazy that they were like this tiny 2 weeks ago and that they can have that much growth just in less than 2 weeks. This is a Berkeley tie-dye and it looks super healthy, but definitely time to get these in the ground. Thankfully, we have already had our last predicted frost, and weather looks great from here on out until the fall, so I think we're safe to start transplanting. So hopefully my next plant sale is on Sunday, and I hope to get as much of these gone, because whatever I don't sell, I do plant, which is cool, but also I want other people to enjoy these plants as well. So super healthy plants, but they're just getting a little big. I really don't want to have to up pot again. I do have a larger size pot, but I really don't want to have to up pot again. It's using a lot of my soil up, and I would just rather people go ahead and have them and get them in the ground and get their garden started. Another probably more unconventional way to tell if a plant is ready to be watered is just to grab it and pull on it, and if it's heavy, it's still pretty saturated. If it's light, oh, this one's super light, and I was gonna miss that one, look at that, then it's ready to go in the water. And these are just hanging out in the water here, soaking up. I'll leave them in there for a while, let them get good and saturated, and then I'll move them back into their containers so they're ready for the sale on Sunday. So last year I would unpack these and stick everything back up here on the shelves, but this year I decided to just keep them in the totes. It's a lot easier to take inventory of what I have sold and what I need to pack more of for the next plant sale, and they do just fine in there. They're just as good sitting there as they are sitting up here. Our greenhouse is super light and open, so they're getting just as much sun there as they would up on the tables. And yeah, I just go through and water things as they need it so that they're ready to hit the road on Sunday morning. I have these 2 trays left to up pot. This is a mix of everything that I grew. I just kind of stuck it all in these 2 trays together, and it's all labeled there. So as you can tell, they're getting pretty big. These are about the size of all of these when I up potted them. So they're about half the size, and I didn't up pot them at the time because they were just too small. Like this one's still, it can be up potted, but it's still tiny compared to the rest of them. But I do have these 2 to up pot, some peppers here and here, and then I just have some random other things that I need to separate. Some of these marigolds, most of these marigolds are for Mother's Day hanging baskets, but there are multiple in the pot, so I do need to separate those. Got to get these nasturtiums out. They're ready. Calendula, I've just been selling them by the pot, but I might separate a few of them and do some individuals as well. Ooh, they need some water. Super light. So that's just a more unconventional way to tell, is that it doesn't have a lot of weight to it. That one's a little heavy, so it might just be these ones on the outside. Oh yeah, that's heavy. Probably just these ones on the outside that are getting more airflow here, are drying out faster. Got some basil left. This is my last purple Petra basil, and I'm keeping it for myself. So we're out of purple Petra basil. I didn't plant as much this year because it really didn't get bought last year. I got plenty of Genovese left, several lettuce leaf. This is my favorite basil, y'all. Oh, it's so pretty. But it, as you can tell, is ready to be outside. It's ready to grow. And each of these little basil pots has 3, 4, 5 plants in them. So a really good deal for that. I do still have these marigolds that I need to separate and up pot. They're ready. This is Eskimo marigold, and I'm honestly just not very happy with it, y'all. It's super leggy, and it's just, it looks sad. Like, look at that. Yeah, but it'll be alright. Then I need to up pot this Tulsi holy basil and some oregano here. I need to separate this lemon basil, which again, not looking great. I don't know if I've overwatered. I've really tried to pay attention and let this one kind of stay dry. So I don't think it's an overwatering issue. These Johnny, oh, do y'all hear the geese? Oh, there they go. That was funny. Anyway, I've got these Johnny jump ups that need to be up potted. They're getting so big. These take forever to grow. They start out teeny tiny. They need darkness to germinate, so I actually would take like another pot and turn it upside down on top of it. But Johnny jump ups, zinnias are ready to get outside. It is warm enough, plenty warm enough. They've got to go. Same thing with the cosmos. And then the petunias need to be up potted. So there's several in each of these pots that are ready for their new home and probably can go ahead and be set out, whichever ones I plan to put in my beds. So this is my up potting station. I have my camping chair, and then I have this little table. This table is really special to me because it was the table that all the great grandkids played house with at my granny's house. It's super duper old and very rusted. I really can't even date it. It's very old, but it's a little child's table. My mom played on it, all of my cousins, and then our generation of great grandchildren played house with it. And so it got brought here to my Meemaw's house, and now I use it as my little up potting table. And then I keep a little pan of water here because every time I up pot the plant, I'll stick it down in the water so that it can get saturated. And then of course I have my soil over there and all of my pots, and then I've got to grab some popsicle sticks, and I have my markers here. I love days like today in the greenhouse when it's overcast, because sometimes this thing can get so hot it can scorch you. I did just get the new shade cloth. It came in the mail, so we'll put that on soon. But yeah, it's getting, so normally the greenhouse runs like 20-ish degrees warmer than the outside when the sun is shining. Sometimes it can get 25 or even 30 degrees warmer, but when there's overcast and it's shady, it's only like 5 to 10 degrees. So right now it says it's 82 in here, and I don't know what the outside temperature is, but I'm guessing it's somewhere in the 70s. But it's very tolerable, and I just like to sit and up pot on overcast days like this. I can get a ton of work done and move around and not feel like I'm dying. So right now I've got some Chocolate Beauty and some shishito peppers that are ready to get into their new homes. Some of these cells have 2 in them. Most of them have 1, a few of them have 2, so I will have to split some of them. But whenever I up pot, I like to first count which peppers I'm going to be up potting. So I look at the size, and like this one right here that's kind of smaller, I'm gonna leave it, so I'm not gonna count it. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll probably leave that one too. So I know that Chocolate Beauty, I'm gonna need 6 cups and 6 popsicle sticks labeled. So I keep my soil right here in a big livestock watering tote that we can't use anymore because it got busted, and it has been the best thing. I make huge batches of soil at a time. I actually use 2 10-pound blocks of cocoa coir, and it'll fill the whole thing up, which is like, I think it's 25 gallons. I could be wrong about that, but anyway, it fills the whole tote up, and it's really neat just to have it right here in the middle of the greenhouse so I can use it all the time. It's getting low, so I'll make a new batch soon. But I just lean over, get my soil together, and then I just cup it into a little bit into the bottom of each one of these cups. Then I'm going to pull my pepper out, so squeeze the cell a bit, grab the pepper at the base, and then just pull and stick it in, just like that. So the ones that have 2 peppers, I'm gonna grab them at the base. I like to wrap my fingers around them this way, or like in a pinching motion, so that I have both of them equally, and when I pull, I'm not just pulling on one of them so that I can injure it, but I'm gonna pull both of them. So squeeze the cell, grab, and pull. Now this part scares some people, but I promise plants are extremely forgiving, way more forgiving than you realize. And even though they do have some roots that are visible, and they're probably wrapped around each other a bit, it's not going to hurt them to rip them apart. As long as I do not bother what's called the tap root at the bottom of this little guy right here. He's going to have like a bigger, stronger root. I don't want to break that off, but all of these little accessory roots here, it's not going to hurt to rip them apart. So I'm going to take my soil block here, I'm going to grab at the top of the block on both sides, and I'm going to literally use both of my hands to like really make sure that I keep that clod of soil together. So I'm going to use like all of my fingers on both sides, and I'm just going to pinch and pull, and it's that easy. And then again, you just plop those down in the cups. These are singles, so they're pretty easy. And now we just fill them with soil. So I'm going to grab some more. I like to hold it up a little bit and then fill in the empty space around that soil block. I like to pile the soil up pretty far. And then what I'm going to do is bang it down on the table so that all that soil falls into that empty space around the soil block. And like cup my hands around so I don't lose as much soil. Which a good thing about this table is it catches any of the excess, so I rarely waste any. And then at the end I can just pick it up and put it back in. Then I'm going to push it down just to make sure he's down in there good. I push that soil block down in there. Again, they're so forgiving. You really, I mean, be gentle enough not to like break off the plant, but you're not going to hurt it. One thing to think about, and this is especially with tomato plants, or I can see it with this marigold right here, is the first leaves that come up when a plant sprouts are called the cotyledon leaves, and then everything else that comes after that is called true leaves. So these are true leaves. So the peppers do have cotyledon leaves. If you look right here, it's going to be these 2 leaves here are the cotyledon leaves. So when this little guy first sprouted, these were the 2 leaves that came out first, cotyledon leaves. If I break a cotyledon leaf off, it's not going to matter. And really, because this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 now sets of true leaves, it's not going to matter if I injure a leaf, pull it off, break it. What's going to matter is if I break the stem, or if I break that taproot that's below the stem. If I really like damage that, that's what's really going to hurt it. But again, plants are so forgiving, they just want to grow. And as long as you're you know, not too crazy, you don't have to be gentle with plants. You can kind of just throw them around, and it's kind of like how when they say, you know, newborn babies, everybody's like, oh no, don't do that, and then the nurses in the hospital are just kind of tossing them around willy-nilly because they're not as fragile as we sometimes think they are, and plants are the same way. So I'm gonna throw this down in this bottom water and keep going. So I do have these two chocolate beauties that are just a little bit smaller. I'm going to keep them for myself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pot them up together and let them grow a little bit more before I separate them. So I'm just going to throw them in a pot together. My soil mix is pretty dry right now because I'm getting to the bottom of this tote. I wouldn't suggest, I guess I'm comfortable putting this dry mix on there because it's immediately going into the bottom water pan, and then if I see that it's not absorbing the water the way it's supposed to, then I'll obviously water it from the top until it's pretty saturated. But normally this would be a lot more moist and have a lot more moisture content in it. It's just that I'm scraping from the bottom of the barrel and it's pretty dry. So I'll go ahead in a few days and add in my cocoa coir blocks and all of the other nutrients that I add in and make a new batch of soil, and it'll be a lot prettier. So now I'm going to do the same thing with the shishito peppers. Looks like I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that are ready. I'm going to set up my pots, label my popsicle sticks, and up pot. Alright y'all, we're gonna go on a quick mission. One of these chicks has pasty butt and it's getting a little lethargic, kind of hanging out in the back of the pack and chirping really loud. So I'm gonna try to go sweep it up and take it inside and take care of it. Stop! 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 That was an adventure, but I ended up snagging 2 of them. I'm going to stick them in the brooder in the bathtub and clean off their booties, feed them some nutrients, Nutri-Drench and probiotic, and hopefully they'll pull through. So I was thinking something pretty interesting or cool, I guess. This is only my 2nd year gardening at this scale. So prior to this, I started some tomato plants in like 2018 maybe, and grew a lot of them. I used one of those 72 cell containers and had them in the house because at that time I didn't have a greenhouse, and grew them on the windowsill, took them in and outside, and they were pretty successful. But then we never did anything with them, sadly, and they just passed away. And then in like 2020, we tilled up an area out here and I grew gourds, which were really cool. I grew loofah gourds and birdhouse gourds. And then we did grow some pumpkins that year. We had like 1 survive because the vine borers got all of them. But I made pumpkin pie with that pumpkin, so that was pretty cool. And let's see, what else have we grown? I think that's about it. So this is really just my 2nd year starting plants from seed, tending to them, growing them, selling them, and then transplanting them out into our space that we're learning how to amend soil and learning about pests and disease. And yeah, it's been a really cool journey, but I was kind of thinking like, wow, it's only been a year essentially that I've been learning these things. And I mean, I'm not trying to brag or toot my own horn or have like an ego boost or anything, but it really does make me very confident in my abilities because like I did this. Like every one of these plants in this greenhouse I started from a tiny seed, and that is a huge confidence boost because it lets me know like I am capable. It's not that hard. It's now, is it time consuming? Yes. Do you have to offer a lot of effort? Yeah. But is it hard on the basis of like I can't do it? No, that's just something that up here that's telling me it's hard, telling me that I can't do it, telling me that they won't grow, telling me that they'll die. All of the ideas that we have, the negative ideas that we have surrounding things in homesteading, like growing plants, having a garden, raising animals, butchering and processing our own meat, all the things. Really the problem lies in like our psyche and the way that we talk to ourselves about our abilities, because honestly at the end of the day, everything that I've done, everything that we've done here on the farm has been not as hard as I guess we thought it would be. Now please don't take me wrong, there have been some really hard days, especially when it came to raising and farrowing piglets. That was probably some of the hardest days we've had surrounded losing piglets, but you know, that's just one of those things that comes with farming in general, is that there is loss, and it's just one of the things that you learn to cope with, and you learn to view it in a positive light is not the right way to say that, but you just learn to turn negative ideas surrounding it into positive, because the animals that we're raising had amazing lives, and you know, even if the animal passes or the piglet passes, or we have to process someone or cull, you know, a chicken, at the end of the day they had an amazing life, and that can really make you appreciate their passing, and it just makes you see it in a different light essentially. So yes, it's been extremely hard, but I think the idea of hard that you have before you start this journey is a lot different than the actual hard. The actual hard is very physical, a little bit mental or emotional. The hard is not how we perceive it before we get started. We tend to, I think, count our losses before they ever come, or discredit our abilities, discredit our self-worth, or the confidence that we should have in ourselves. We discredit our communities and the impact that we can have there, and that's kind of sad, because I think that those ideas that it's too hard, I can't do it, I'm going to you know, it's not going to survive under my care, I'm not going to be able to, I think that those are lies that we tell ourselves that hold us back from getting started in this homesteading and this small farm regenerative farming journey. And this journey is one of the most noble things I've ever done, one of the most fulfilling journeys I've ever been on, is everything that has had to do with homesteading and small scale farming. I want to show you one more cool thing about tomatoes. So this tomato at the last plant sale, I accidentally knocked it off the table and broke it. It actually broke way down in here, the bottom of the stem, and then obviously right here it broke. So tomatoes are so hardy, I guess is the word for it. So what has happened is I piled up dirt around that bottom break, and it is still loose, but it's sturdy enough to continue to send nutrients up. And then even here at this break, you can tell like it's still alive. So even though it's broken, I guess here and here, because they're still connected, it's sending nutrients through the tomato plant. So if I lift it up, you can see it kind of broke all the way through there and died in the middle part. But because the sides are still together, it's still sending nutrients, and this will live. I've actually broken some really big ones in the past, and they've laid all the way over, and yeah, they still lived and even produced fruit. So I've just saved this little weirdo, and he'll go in my garden. We started in 2018 raising pastured pork, red wattle hogs. We got into farrowing. We had 2 sows. At one time we had 6 sows farrowing, and scaled that back a little bit and picked out our 2 best sows with the most mothering instinct, and we farrowed for many years and had our boar on the ground. We had our boar with our piglets in the field, which is a little unheard of. And yeah, we just were so blessed with very well mild-mannered livestock. We ended up selling feeder piglets. We're very well known in the Southeast, had people traveling from North Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama, Florida, to purchase our feeder piglets, our red wattles. We even got into raising our own meat. We learned how to process our own pigs. We raised layer hens. We had 300 layer hens on the ground at one time. We were selling 70 to 100 dozen eggs a week to a CSA in Athens and doing deliveries that way. We we brought in meat birds, and we would have like 100 meat birds at a time rotating through. We've done Freedom Rangers. We've done several different breeds of meat birds, and yeah, it's just been such a journey. And looking back on it, I can remember the hard days, but the hard days weren't what I thought, I guess, would be hard when I first started the journey. You know, what I thought was going to be hard was like everything was going to pass away. Well, that never happened. And you know, the things that we like discredit ourselves for, I'm not gonna have enough knowledge. Well, we all have a computer in our back pocket, and we have a community who is willing to help, and we've just got to access that knowledge. You know, read a book, learn the ins and outs before you ever bring the animal in, and then, you know, that's only half of it though. The other half is you've got to just do it. There's never going to be a perfect day or a right day, a good day to get started. You've just got to get started, and the hard is not the type of hard you think it's going to be. And at the end of the day, even that hard is so worth it when you can contribute to regenerative agriculture, farm animal welfare, sustainably, and produce nutritious animal protein. When you can give these farm animals who are otherwise on these conventional farms neglected and downright abused, when you can give them a good life and you can produce protein or eggs for your community, for your family, even if it's small scale, and you just have 10 meat birds and 15 layer hens, and you're only producing for your family, you are making a huge difference. And it's so fulfilling, and it's such a noble thing to do, to put, in that respect, your money where your mouth is, and to care enough about yourself, your family, and your community to put in that extra hard work and that little bit of extra effort, because those are the hard things. You know, the animals will survive, I promise. The plants will survive. It's just a little harder. You got to put in a little more work and a little more time, but you can make it happen. And I promise at the end of the day, you're gonna feel so good about yourself. But there's never a good time to start. You've just got to start. And so when I was reflecting on that, like, really, if we think about it, March, the second week in March last year was my first time that I came into this greenhouse, and I set out all of these cells, and I filled all of them with soil. First of all, I made my own soil. I did tons of research to figure out what kind of soil I wanted, because I knew I did not want to buy it from the store. And I filled the cells, and I placed the seeds one by one by hand myself, and I waited and watched them grow. And of course that involved, you know, keeping them watered, and after they get so many true leaves, you're going to want to fertilize. There are a few things that go into that, you know, making sure that I came out every morning and opened the greenhouse doors so that they didn't scorch to death, and at night I closed the greenhouse doors and turned on the heater so that they didn't freeze to death. It's a lot of work in that respect, but it's so fulfilling, and it's so purposeful, and it's just a really big confidence boost. Both the plants and all of the times that we've raised animals, it just makes you feel really good to know that you contributed to something so positive in this world, when we are surrounded, especially in the realm of agriculture, with so much negativity. It's hard to find a place. I always talk about how in agriculture, it's kind of like agriculture is split and both sides are fighting against each other, because you have the commercial realm of agriculture and then you have the regenerative realm of agriculture, and they're both trying to do the same thing, which is produce food, but one has a dollar as the purpose and one has nutrition and health and animal welfare as the purpose. And so then it changes the journey of both of these sides and the process that both of them take to get to that end point, which is food. And in the meantime, you've got one where the purpose is money and the bottom dollar, which means you know, harsh chemicals and all kinds of negative things that go into commercial farming. You've got feedlots, you've got chicken houses, you've got animals not seeing sunlight, you've got animals in extremely close quarters, you've got sows whose mother instincts have been bred out of them just because they've been bred over and over and over again to produce more and more and more piglets. And so then, because the mothering instinct is bred out, they're being put in farrowing cages, they're being put in pig barns. Pigs that have never walked on grass, that are constantly on concrete. You know, chickens that are in an enclosed environment, breathing in the air of their own feces and filth. Sorry, my camera died. But it's just crazy to think about the negative side of commercial agriculture compared to the positive ideas that surround regenerative agriculture. And to be a part of regenerative agriculture just feels really good, even when we're, you know, talking about, I know so much more about animal protein just because we've raised animals and animal protein for so many years, and this is only, you know, my second year that I'm enjoying growing plants. But even with plants, you know, in row cropping and monoculture, they're sprayed heavily for pests and for disease, and they're genetically modified to withstand that spray so they don't die. And you just think about all of the negative things that go into that sort of farming, and everybody's going to pick a side and have an opinion about it, and that's fine. It is what it is. Everybody has a right to their own thought process, but mine has definitely been developed through tons of experience, through lots and lots and lots of research. And yeah, all that to say, we went way around the world to say that you're never going to start if you just don't start. And you know, it's crazy what you can learn in just a year. In just a single year, I've literally learned everything that I've shown you today, plus a million more things. You know, soil ingredients to make a good mix of growing soil. I don't make a seed starting soil. Immediately my seeds are put into a soil that is full of nutrients. The correct way to fertilize, natural fertilizers, watering techniques, up potting techniques, transplanting techniques, how to boost and build up my soil in my actual garden spots. Things like native plants, pollinator habitats. Just I could go on and on and on and on and on about the things that I've learned in a year, but I would have never learned. That's so crazy to me. I would have never learned any of this had I not just started, you know. And I understand that some people have to do homesteading activities in their pockets of time, and that is completely okay. If growing a garden and starting plants is not for you, that's fine. If raising animal protein is not for you, that's fine. Figure out what is for you. How can you contribute to the idea of regeneration, and how can you be involved in regenerative practices? Could you learn how to source nutritious ingredients and make your own bread for your family? Could you visit the farmer's market and support a local farmer who's doing the hard work? Could you go in on halves on a beef or a pork with another family so that you're supporting a farmer who's, you know, raising that beef or that pork right and feeding it nutritious food? It's seeing the sunshine and on the stepping on the ground. You know, how could you be a part of this movement? You just got to figure it out, and you just got to start. I had some friends that came to my plant sale on Sunday, and they said, you know, they used to live in an apartment and you could tell which one was theirs because it was just covered up with greenery. But she just started. She didn't wait till she had land or had bought a house. She used the balcony of her apartment to grow plants. And you just figure out what you like and what you want to try and just start. And if that doesn't work out, pivot. But yeah, I was just thinking about, it's only been a year and I'm really proud of myself for this. And hopefully I can be maybe a bit of inspiration for other people to join this movement and do it too. So. Alright, so go ahead and decide now, what are you going to do to be part of this movement, to be part of such a noble cause, to gain that confidence, and to really start working in this journey, towards this journey of regenerative agriculture, self-sustainability, you know, caring about your nutrition and where your food comes from, farm animal welfare, all the things that this regenerative lifestyle encompasses. Decide how you can be a part of it and get started. Stop waiting. There's no better day than today. Thank y'all for hanging out with me today. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you will come back and hang out with me later. I will see y'all later.